Okay, so if you've been paying attention to the channel at all for, the smallest amount of time, probably knows that about 2 weeks ago I did a video on a keyboard which was known as the An Pro 2, which if you want to watch that video, it would be in your top right hand corner right now. Bam, you just saw it, I know. Anyway, today we finally have the new keyboard that I've had it for about 3 weeks I think now. This is the Ducky Mecha Mini, not to be confused with the Ducky 1-2 Mini. Very different, but very alike in very many ways, which if you're looking to buy this keyboard in particular, I will put the link to where I got it in the description. Anyway, this keyboard is very different than the An Pro 2 in almost every way imaginable. So, this keyboard is made of a cast aluminum, which doesn't sound like much, but basically the best way I can put it is that it feels like metal, and it adds up and it puts a good amount of weight on the keyboard, which it's good since it just gives you that nice feeling of quality, which you want quality in a keyboard, right? You're gonna be using it every day probably, so that cast aluminum case really makes it worthwhile. So out of all the 60% keyboards I've used, this is gonna be the best one quality wise I've used, since if you don't know, most of them are made out of like a plastic, very hard plastic, versus this one which is made out of cast aluminum. Like, hold on, can you hear this? Ow. It's cast aluminum and it's just really good quality. It adds weight, so if you're looking for that, this is gonna be the best one since no other one is like this. It's one of a kind. I do know that they're making a normal mecha, which is I think a 75%. I could be wrong, it's not out yet, but I do know they're making another mecha. But if you're wondering, this is basically just it's the same design as the Ducky 1-2 Mini, just, this time it's all black versus the normal Ducky, which is white then black. So the top casing is white, the bottom is black, which it's kind of funny since I didn't want the white and black because it wouldn't match my setup. Obviously I wanted the all black because black and yellow, you get the vibe. Anyway, they had that one and they had an all white one. I was gonna go for the all white one because it's the only, I didn't want two colors basically. Then here comes this, the all black, and when I saw that I was like, that's worth the $30 extra, and boy, it was worth the $30 extra. But keys on this keyboard, you have the floating key design, which if you don't know, it basically makes the keycaps itself, not like all of it, it basically makes the keycaps look like they're floating, which many companies use this. Some of them that I know is that Razer used to use them on the Razer Chroma X, or wherever their fancy keyboard was that was made out of like gunmetal or something. That had floating key designs. You can see this anywhere. It's not hard. They look like they're floating, so you'll know what it means when you see it. Basically, what they do is that the case, they lower it versus normal, where it's like on par, where the tip of the case is at the tip of the keycap. So all they do is basically lower that, which is, it always looks good. Then something else they did with the Ducky Mecha Mini, I don't think this is on the Ducky 1-2 Mini, but I could be wrong, is that they added this white plastic shell on the bottom, which, while you might not like that, the purpose of it is, I know because Razer does this, but it's there to reflect the light, which is the RGB, which of course this keyboard has. So it reflects the light, it makes it brighter and just more vibrant, which if you're telling me you don't want a nice vibrant keyboard, you're obviously lying, and just get out of here. Please don't. Anyway, it does have that plastic shell that makes it look very nice, and it's probably one of the better lit keyboards out of all of them. So another thing to keep in mind if you're buying. Then another reason I got this was the USB Type-C port, which there's several reasons why I wanted the Type-C. First off, to be quite frank with you, I just bought like $12 worth of cables for the An Pro 2, hoping that would fix it. Spoiler, it did it, but I didn't want to waste those cables, so I was like, I'm getting a keyboard with USB-C. And then I found this, it had it. Then another one is USB-C is kind of future-proofing you. It's there's three main 60% keyboard companies, and the other one that's not An Pro 2 uses micro USB, or just it's some really old 2012 something, which you just want to use USB-C because it kind of future-proofs you, since most things are just catching up and USB-C is starting to become just the standard with ports. So yeah, it's just basically future-proofing you. It also helps that this USB-C port, it's way more sturdy and snug than the An Pro 2, so it's actually in there and you can feel it, versus the Aim Pro 2 where it's wiggly and you could probably grab your pinky and just knock that joint out, which that just ticked me off since the slightest movement. And guess what? You don't have a keyboard anymore. So something to keep in mind. Anyway, personally with this, I got the brown switches, which you could get multiple switches from like brown to reds, which if you don't know what they are, you could just look up a video on different switches. They all do their own thing, and basically browns are just, you know, I guess like clicky. They're not clicky, they just feel here. They sound like that, okay? So I just love brown switches. That's why I got them. You're not beating brown. If you say anything else, you're wrong. It's just a simple fact. But while you could get other keys for this, I do like how typing on this is very fluent and feels very nice. Because again, you're gonna tell me you don't like that sound? You're lying to me. But it's a very nice sound, which everyone strives for. It feels very nice to type on, and I find myself just randomly like fidgeting with the keys and typing on it because they just feel good. Which, you know, there's some keyboards that don't do that, but from what I've learned, brown switches do that pretty well. So if you're looking for a fluent typing experience, this keyboard's really good for that. And you know, it's just something to keep in mind. Then again, you're probably gonna want different switches. Reds I've used before, and they're basically like browns, just they feel a little more dull, I guess. It's very hard to explain it, but reds are the closest things to browns that I've used. Then, you know, blues are just razor greens, where they're just like, you get the point. Anyway, so with this keyboard, you get 3 things included. You get the keyboard, of course. You get a stock cable. I'm pretty sure you get a cable. I would imagine. I didn't use it or look. Then you get a keycap holder and some extra keys, which I guess that's 4 things, but Ligma. So the keycap holder, as the name describes, it's a keycap holder. Not hard to explain. Then for extra keys, it's just a couple of them that can replace like your escape key, your shift key, and all that crap. Now, I can't tell you which ones you're gonna get since they're random. So I've seen people that have gotten see-through blues. Personally, I got some greens that are not see-through, which I don't like, but it's just really a gamble. It's literally RNG on that. Just roll the dice and you're gonna get one of them, I assure you. Other from that, there's also a manual on this keyboard, which you should probably read because there's a lot of RGB on here and there's no software for it, which that's either a positive or a negative for you. For me, it's a positive because I don't want to learn new software. I'm just lazy. So you just have everything on this keyboard, and you could do different modes, different all that by just function keys, to the point where you could play games on this keyboard. Yeah, you could play light games on the keyboard. Just look at the manual, you'll know what I mean. Then it's just crazy how much stuff you could just do on the keyboard with no extra software. So definitely read the manual, it'll definitely help you out. Then another thing is that they have dip switches on this keyboard, which I don't use them. I'm still not sure what they're for, but pretty sure they're for like profile programming or any of that. Look up dip switches if you want to know what they are. I don't. I'm just letting you know they're on here since some people look for that. So yeah, keep that in mind when buying. Then overall, from the past 3-some weeks I've had this, it's been nothing but great for me, and it outdoes the Aim Pro 2 in almost every single way, and it was worth the money despite the fact it was a pretty pen. It wasn't that much, but it was still more than every other 60% keyboard. So really, this is the best quality I've used. Then again, it's been 3 weeks, and after a year, or not even a year, like 8 months, that's when my Aim Pro 2 decided to hit the bed. So this is just a first initial review, so we'll have to see in a couple months if it lasts, but from what I've seen, I feel like it will, since it's really good quality. But other from that, the only thing that the Aim Pro 2 has going for it is that it has Bluetooth, which if you're into that, cool. I'm not. I'm a nerd. I play games, okay? Ligma. So I want to listen to my Wu-Tang and play Destiny. Don't get mad at me. So that's there. Then it's basically just a good keyboard overall. That's all I can say. Anyway, if you're looking to buy, again, link is in the description. Check it out. The website might look sketchy to you. I assure you it works. I've used it. The only problem is that these keyboards are out of stock constantly, so you're gonna have to wait a couple weeks for it, but it's not that long. It took mine like 3 weeks. So anyway, that's been it for the video. subscribe, follow me on Twitch. That's my plug. Twitch is in the description below. Until next time.